Alright, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good day. So in this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to construct a box and whisker plot. So before that, my name is Dr. Muhammad Nasir Abdullah. I'm a senior lecturer from School of Mathematical Science, College of Computing, Informatics and Mathematics, University of Technology Mara. So in this video, I'm going to demonstrate a box and whisker plot using R programming. Box and whisker plot, also known as a box plot in many books. So the learning outcome after completing this topic, you should be able to construct a box plot using R programming, interpret the information present in the box plot, compare data value between different categories and group, and understanding how to represent the data using a box plot. So a box plot is actually a 5-number summary graph. A 5-number summary includes the smallest value, which is a minimum value, first quartile, median or quarter number 2, third quartile, and the largest value of the measurement, which is maximum value. So we also need to calculate the interquartile range in order to compute or construct a box plot. So a box plot actually can determine the shape of data distribution and also can determine is there any outlier in the data, right? So basically a box plot is designed for a quantitative variable, so then we can detect the shape of the data distribution. So this is the box plot. So the first value here represent the minimum values. The first box of the rectangle, this is what we call as a first quartile, second quartile, third quartile, and the maximum value. The point or the circle outside the box plot is called as outlier. So when the outlier is between more than 1.5 IQ interquartile range, it called as a mild outlier. If the outlier is more than 3 interquartile range, is called as extreme outlier. So this is what we call inner fence number 1, inner fence number 2, outer fence number 1, outer fence number 2, right? So in constructing the box plot in R programming, so we're going to use a box plot function. So box plot basic syntax to create a box plot contain x, which is the variable or formula, and then we input our data, notch, variable, width, names, and mean. So basically there are more argument can be input in the box plot function, right? So this is example of box plot construction for mile per gallons and number of cylinder based on empty car data set, right? So we will get the box plot like this, right? So let's look at R programming to demonstrate how to construct a box plot. So in this R script, I already input some nodes, which is the learning objective, where we want to, the first learning objective is we want to construct a box plot using R, create element of box plot, modification of color, scheme, and group box plot. So let's try using empty car dataset. If you still remember, empty car dataset can be viewed from data, right? So this is a ready-made data set in R programming. It came from base package, right? So we store empty car data set into data1 object because I don't want to interrupt the original data set. And if we look at the structure of the data set, so all the values, all the variables are in numerical, but actually CYL, VS, AM, gear, and carburetor should be a categorical data. So now I'm going to make a small change, the categorical variable as factor variables. So I'm going to use the library dplyr, right? So I'm going to call the names, right, which is CYL, VS, AM, gear, gear, and last is carburetor, right? So I'm going to change this variable to as vector. So I'm going to put it as a my data 1. So mutate across names as vector, right? So str my data. So if you look at this one, it's already changed to vector level instead of numeric. So the original one is numeric. I already changed it to vector. So as usual, I'm going to attach my data into R in Studio environment. So to compute or to construct simple box plot based on single continuous variable, right? So I'm going to use function Boxplot, and then I'm going to use my data mpg. And remember, Boxplot should be construct for continuous variable only. So this is the simple Boxplot for mile per gallons. So if you can see, this is a minimum value, quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, and the maximum value. In this, the box plot, we don't see any outlier lah. So if you want to construct to transform on box plot into horizontal orientation. So if you want to transform the box plot from vertical to horizontal orientation, we just need to add another argument called horizontal equal to true. So it will transform it to horizontal box plot. We can also input color in box plot. Right, so very simple, just copy this one and I put another argument which is color equal to light blue. Right, so for the color scheme, you can refer to my previous video on bar chart. So I already discussed the color scheme available in RStudio or R programming. So we can use HTML color codes, we can use palette, we can use art color drawer, we can use Wes Anderson package, and many more, right? So now next we want to try to customize the elements, the elements in the box plot. For example, I'm going to add the title of the box plot, the color, the font size, the font family, and so on. So I'm going to use this one again, right? So to add title, just type main equal to a box plot showing the distribution of mile per gallon, right? And then if for X label, it should be miles per gallon. So remember, this is horizontal, the X axis is a mile per gallon, right? So this is already included. So next I want to change the color of title. Let's say I'm going to put it as a brown, not brown lah, gray lah, gray 5. And then font.main means I'm going to change it to italic, bold, and then I'm going to change the size of label equal to 1. Basically 1 is default size, and then I'm going to change the family, which is the font style equal to serif, right? So now it's already changed it, right? So now let's say I want to remove the box of the box plot, the box of the graph. Let's see, if you look at this graph, the box plot is created by the big box outside of the graph. So I want to remove the box of the graph. So to remove the box of the graph, let's say I'm copy this one and I input the argument name as frame equal to false. So I already remove the box of the graph. Let's say I want to remove the axis, removing the x-axis line, right? X-axis line. So basically it's the same thing. I just add another argument, which is axis equal to false. So I already removed the x-axis, right? And then I also can change the line type. Change the line type of box plot. So if you look at this one, the line type is 1 because you have a solid line. So let's say I want to change it to the dot line. So I'm going to use LTY equal to 2. So if you can see, it become a dash line. If I change it to 3, it become dot line. If I change it to 4, it become a dash dot line. So I think I will maintain it as 1, right? So I also can change the thickness LWD, the thickness of the line. So let's say I click 2, means that the line is more thicker compared to previous, right? So I also can remove the minimum and maximum line of box plot. So this is the minimum line and this is the maximum line. I can also remove the minimum and maximum line by applying step lewex argument. Step lewex argument. Let's say I'm going to put 0, so it remove I think so. I think I need to remove this one first, then I will use LTY. Remove LTY. This is sorry, I think this is the wrong one. Not step. It's a step. STAP lewex. So see, the minimum and maximum line is already gone, right? So next I can also adjust the size of box. So how to adjust the size of box? By adding the argument, another argument called as box wax. Let's say 0.5, so it becomes smaller. If I put 2, it become larger. Let's say 0.8 become just nice. I think maybe I just remain 0.5, so make it even smaller. So in this box plot, I can also adjust the line thickness of the box, right? So the line thickness of the box, I just use box LWD, right? So this one should be box LWD equal to 2. So this one, it will adjust the it's also same as LWD, right? So let's say I change it to 3, so it become 3. The box is more thicker. Let's say I put 4, it's even more thicker, right? So next I can adjust the thickness of line of quarter number 2 in the box. Right, let's say I want to highlight the location of quarter number 2. So I just need to add mat WD equal to 2. So it will make the line even less thicker. Let's say I'm adjusting the box line should be equal to 1 and this one should be equal to 3. So it become this one more thicker compared to the whole box, right? Okay. So before I forgot, we already removed the line. I think the x-axis line. I think this is removing x-axis line. Instead of using axis equal to f, force means that it will remove the both axes, y and x. But if you want to specifically remove x-axis, right? So we just use this one. Let's say I'm going to copy this one as this is for both x and y. So for just x as this, right, I just use x as this, axt equal to force, equal to n. So it will remove this one. If you want to remove y as this, right, y axt equal to none, right? So this is for removing x as this, and this one is for removing y as this, right? So I think that's all for part 1, constructing a simple box plot, right? So we will continue on part 2 where we try to input more box plot by categorical data, right? So I think that's all. Please stay tuned for video number 2. Assalamualaikum, and hope you get something from this video. Thank you very much.